So hello, everybody. I'm Chris Kruger, Senior Manager for Content with the Davis Phinney Foundation, and welcome to this month's Living with Parkinson's Meetup. In this monthly series, we bring together a panel of people living with Parkinson's to share how Parkinson's impacts their lives and what they do to live well with Parkinson's. So take it away, Karen. What are we talking about today?
Okay. Yeah, so this is a great opportunity to sit with friends and talk about and think about things a little bit differently. So when Chris asked me to lead the topic, for some reason this just came to my mind because it's something I work on. So I think when we hear the word boundaries, instantly, like I think of no, I'm making space for myself, I'm protecting myself. No, I'm setting a limit. And I've really started wondering if boundaries really were bigger than that and could be positive. And so I kind of took this thought about like, what if boundaries were about building space for things, taking up space, not so much building walls to compartmentalize and push things out. And I just think that Parkinson's kind of works its way into our routines and our relationships, our identity, our thinking until we don't even realize like how much room it's occupying. It's like we have a house and a house is our temple, our body, our space, our world. And Parkinson's is really one room in that house. It's not the house. So I just started thinking about the choices that we make, that what we can create space for. And for me, like joy and purpose and rest, paying attention to the people that we love, having hope. It really changed the way I started thinking about my own life. And for a long time, I just kept, we've talked about this before, I kept trying to be the person that I was before Parkinson's. I was like shoving myself back into that life and this old version of myself. And the harder I pushed, the more frustrated I got. And it was like I was trying to shove a square peg in a round hole. And I just kept trying and trying and trying. And so now I'm like, what can I make space for right now in the life that I live? It hasn't made me feel like I'm settling for something, but it's kind of given me a strength and made me feel like I'm creating something in my life. Yeah, it's different, but I can use boundaries for positive as well. And I'm just going to start the conversation with a question, and I want to end the conversation with a question. So my question is, I guess, to the panelists, when you hear this idea of boundaries and think about it as creating space instead of creating limits, how would that be different for you? Does that change the way you think about your life or think about boundaries? And if it does, maybe what's one thing that you would intentionally like to make more space for in your life? And I'll just say there's no right answers. It's more about curiosity, about thinking about new ideas. So that's my topic.
It's a great topic, Karen. An awesome topic. It's interesting because I've been in a big transition phase. And I think Parkinson's, you're right, Parkinson's kind of dictates that we need, if we want to stay present and keep living well, we need to learn how to do that and evolve perhaps at a different pace than we would if we didn't have Parkinson's. And a good example is our son has recently got engaged and we're busy planning a wedding, which is very exciting. And it's going to happen quickly. They want a very small family wedding. And I've realized that that's a really important life event for our family and that's a big priority. And I don't want to shortchange that experience. It's joyful, it's good, but it also is a big presence in my everyday thought process in my world. So some other things have had to shift. And I'm trying to learn, and instead of being sad about that, because that takes up space, I'm trying to accept that that's okay, that if I communicate well with the other commitments, people are really gracious and graceful at saying, hey, I get it. You're planning a wedding. It's quick. Maybe we can move that deadline back. Or I can also give myself permission to pull back from something if I need to. But it's a good example of wanting to pivot in a joyful way rather than saying, dang it, how am I going to fit this other thing in and being sad about it? Does that make sense? Does that sound congruent with an answer?
Yeah, I think everyone's congruent with this question because it's different for everyone. So I think that's great, Kat.
Yeah, I think it's a great topic. I think the topic of boundaries is basically our journey with Parkinson's and what we allow ourselves to become with Parkinson's. When I read it, in my interpretation, I see boundaries as those self-limiting beliefs that we attach first to our diagnosis and comparing ourselves to the person that we used to be. And we cannot do this and we no longer can do that. But what you are bringing up, Karen, is the ability to give ourselves permission to live a different life and to replace those boundaries and those self-limiting beliefs with positive affirmations about how we can live and the space we give ourselves and our care partners in our new chapter of life. And instead of saying we can't, we start to live in the life of from now on I can. But I think that takes a lot of practice. But if you get the balance right, Parkinson's, it could be interpreted as a gift because it gives you time to recalibrate and recenter and look at your life differently. And that's something that I've sort of lived with in the last few years.
I think, Larry, one thing that your comments remind me of, it's sort of like an airplane, right? I'm driving an airplane. I'm flying an airplane and I'm the pilot and I turn the wheel like the teeniest bit, right? Just millimeters of the teeniest bit. And then where do I land? I land in a completely different city. I'm not in Kansas City anymore. I'm like in LA because I turned the wheel like just so slightly. And what if our lives with Parkinson's could look that way because we added something to our life? Like, I don't know. That's just kind of a thought there, but
We'd see more of the world unexpectedly.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
I think that for me, Parkinson's has really been a change. I was diagnosed around the same time that I quit my job as a family physician. So my life was really turned around. So it's hard to know what was what, but it has really been an opportunity to me to change my life in positive ways that I wouldn't have anticipated. As a physician, most of my socialization was with patients and with fellow staff members, people in the office. I didn't really have that many. I had some friends, and with family, but I didn't really have time or the ability or whatever to have a big friend network. But it's changed so much since I've had Parkinson's and I quit my job that I've been able to, through like boxing and ping pong and Davis Phinney and this, I've really developed more friends and really feel like making space for others within my life is really important to me. And I didn't really realize that much before. But just having the ability to do that has been a blessing and a good thing. So yes, the boundaries change, but there's an opportunity for things to be better in some ways. So I never wish Parkinson's on anybody, but for me, there's been some positives.
Do you guys think our own boundaries, take away that space from our care partners and our loved ones? I'm curious. Yeah, Robert, what were you going to say?
Well, I've been running this thought through my mind as we sit here, and this may be a little too esoteric, but let me try it anyway. If I think of my life as a house, just a plain, simple, square house, and I decide I want another room using expanding rooms, I can either reconfigure an area inside the existing house to be the new room, or I can build an extension on the house and have a new room there. One's taking away from something else, and the second is adding on to the whole thing. And I think sometimes we have feeling like our space is limited. We don't have room to expand outside. But I think we do. To be one thing I want to work on myself, a new room for me would be to be more social outside of the Parkinson's realm. I do a lot with the Parkinson's community, and I'm on different committees and groups and all that's well and good, but I sure would like some friends that work with Parkinson's 24 hours a day. But I think I can do that and still do what I'm currently doing. Or that's the challenge for me, to figure out how to keep what I currently have and add something more.
Mm-hmm. Like you, Robert, I'm trying to build my world a little broader outside of the Parkinson's network right now. And that feels really exciting. And I'm also trying to be intentional about how much I'm committing everywhere until I get the hang of it. And I don't want to compromise anything or do something unsuccessfully. And so I'm trepidatious. And I think Parkinson's also gives me pause for that. And that's not all bad, but I don't want it giving me so much pause that I'm fearful to do it also, or to try it. And that's a little bit of a dance, I think.
I think for me, I'm not a bit of a perfectionist. I'm a perfectionist to the hilt. And so trying to give myself the grace that I would show a friend to be okay with not being that way anymore. Because it causes problems for me, and it causes me stress, and I don't handle stress the way I used to. And so what used to be like a real achievement, like I could be the best, I could be the head of my class, I can get, the best job, or I can do really challenging thing. Now it's like, wait, do I have to?
That's right.
Do I have to? I mean, I still love doing things, but like I kind of took a pause and a step back. And unfortunately, when I get in that space where I'm not functioning well, I'm like a cat backed into a corner, and it's like, no, that's a sign to me. Like, maybe not stop doing it, but like bring more in, spend more time in your garden, phone a friend, help somebody. Go, like I'm meeting a lot of community members because I do a fundraising event to benefit the Davis Phinney Foundation in my town. And it's like, oh, I've learned that a mentor said to me, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? And why should I care? And then to just put my listening ears on and try to see what other people are experiencing, and like maybe get out of my world and try to get into theirs a little bit. And that's really given me permission to sort of like back away from myself. This seems so serious. Like, I'm curious too about lightheartedness about this. If I'd love to hear from the crowd, and everything about how you feel about the topic. I mean, people, are you, what do you think in your own life, I guess? And love to know what you think, Stephanie, too.
Yeah. What's been coming up for me, I love the framing of boundaries with a positive lens. Because I think you're right. The default is like the barriers or the walls that we're putting it up maybe to protect ourselves. And what I was thinking about for me is the sense of boundaries being like an opening up, and I like, what am I saying yes to now? Like, or what are the areas in my life where I want to say yes that are more expansive, that are going to really like align with my values, fill my cup, connect me with people who I deeply love. And I mean, if I'm being honest with myself, as hard as it is to be diagnosed with Parkinson's, I feel like that was a moment where I was like, I need to come back to what's important to me. What are my values? Where am I? What relationships do I want to fuel, and what relationships are fueling me? Because I don't have the energy to have, to spend an energy. I don't have the energy to spend, and I don't want the negative energy in relationships that are not filling me up. I just can't. And so I want to say yes to those that are positive. And this is coming at a really interesting time because there was some very terrible family drama that happened in my family this weekend. And And so I've been thinking a lot about to use an Oprah quote, surrounding myself with people who lift me up, and that is where the energy needs to be. It just needs to be there. And that gives space to form new relationships and to form maybe like explore new parts of myself because I'm not burdened with the draining energy. So those are the thoughts that have been swirling in my mind as we've been talking.
Yeah, it's giving yourself permission to be who you are in the moment. I think that's the boundary or the permission.
Yeah.
To live in the moment.
And I think I don't know if for you, Stephanie, I don't want to put words in your mouth at all, but I know it's how the reaction to stress or distress or discord or drama is so much more physical now. It has almost given me an external cueing to how to take care of myself better. So when I start to feel kind of that tremor come back more, I'm really paying attention to, you know what, this isn't serving me so well. Like this is a conversation that I need to not be having, or I need to try to get myself out of this and not re-engage in it. And it's hard, especially when it's with family. I have found some of these things to be true also over time, that I can still care for and even love somebody and also choose not to spend a lot of time with them. Not on the phone, not engage in emails as much,
Yeah.
And that's hard. It's a shift.
Oh, for sure. And that question of how is this serving you? I mean, I use that with coaching clients that I've had. So either from a relational standpoint or, a task or a job, or like, how is this serving you? How is it supporting you? And if it's not, what are your options? It's tricky when it's family. But I think it's also okay to say, so this is what happened. Like, I'm taking a break from the family member and giving myself space, sort of like to your sort of point and to our point about space. And that feels like a healthy choice right now. Yeah.
I know for me, when I started doing that, it felt very selfish and very unaligned with the old cat, right? That the help everybody, no matter what, drop anything for anybody at any time. And I'm really trying to put my money where my mouth is, how I tell other people or share. Probably not unlike you, Stephanie. I'm guessing in your practice and your coaching, you're helping give those tools to others. And it's hard sometimes to find that ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. When it's suggested, it's, it's sort of like, oh yeah, this is what I tell clients. Yeah. Oopsies. But I really do appreciate this conversation. It's timely. It's timely for me personally. So, I think that other thread around, how much space does Parkinson's take up in our lives, and wanting to have spaces outside of the Parkinson's world, either through, relationships or friendships or activities, or I think that's important too, because it for me, it has started to feel all consuming. And I'm looking for more space outside of that. Yeah.
Like as far as like welcoming something in, I find comedy just really makes me I just get out of my space. Like I'm out of my own way. I just laugh. I forget I'm even dealing with anything. And I was like, well, it's so simple. Like, why don't I just turn it on? Like, just do a funny podcast or, watch a stupid show. Like, I always feel like I have to be so intellectual about the stuff that I watch on TV. Like, maybe I want to just watch Married at First Sight. Maybe I want to just watch like something really dumb, like Love is Blind.
Yeah.
I mean, why do I take myself so seriously? And like, it's okay to just be goofy, or like, I need that. If I just added like 10 minutes more a day of meditation or mindfulness or like anything, that boundary would just fill my cup. Like you were saying, fill your cup earlier, but like, it can be something simple, like walking my dog, or my dog's goofy when he gets the zoomies, and I know exactly what he's going to do and what's going to make him have the zoomies. Like, why don't I'm bored, I'm overworked, I'm tired. Just take the dude outside and give him his favorite thing. He just gets the zoomies and it makes me laugh.
I see some really thoughtful things in the chat. A couple of things one about being an ambassador. Can you, who are ambassadors, talk about professional boundaries? I know it's easy to say stay in your lane. Is it that easy in practice, or do you have to constantly remind yourself? And I think, having been an ambassador for many years, and I have pulled back a little bit from my ambassador role because I'm ready to start looking at a little bit other roles. While I absolutely love being connected to the Davis Phinney Foundation, it was a good example where it started to feel like it wasn't feeding me to pick up the phone and talk to newly diagnosed patients. And as soon as that happened, or as soon as there was that shift, it was easy for me to say, I bet it's somebody else's turn to do this. And there are other great people out there. So is it easy? I wouldn't say it's easy for me to pull back from something that I've committed to. I think, though, that it's okay. And I think that it's an important skill for me to learn, even though it's later in life. I probably would have been served better to learn this before I had Parkinson's. But I'm grateful I'm learning it now. So I think part of what we're seeing is this evolution. And then another question, Karen, you might want to chat on that, about people not being able to do what we know they're capable of. I think our abilities change over time. I'm trying to go back to work after 11 years into this diagnosis. I'm doing it differently, but it's good for me to be contributing. So I'd love to hear other people's thoughts on that.
Yeah, I've lived this. I was a lawyer at a high pressure job. I know I can't do that, but I can still find valuable work in being an operational, manager. And I think that the challenge is finding an employer who can support you in that and understand you in that endeavor. But it does. But I do think it's a challenge when it comes to, surrounding our lives with people with Parkinson's. We live it 24/7. There's times where you want to step back, because I think you need to have a break from it, and being goofy. And I channel, Monty Python or an episode from Seinfeld every day. That's the way I live my life.
Yeah, I love that. I don't know. I'm like you guys. I worked in a really high pressure field, and then I decided years after I got Parkinson's and went on disability for that, like, I want to do something. And at first I gave myself the old snobbery because I was below like what I trained for and practiced for and built all my life and everything, but it was great. And I'm feeling the loss of that right now because I chose to do dialysis for a patient at home who's a neighbor, and I grew really close to him and his family. And unfortunately, I'm sad about losing that opportunity, but he passed away. And I've spent 3 years like building that into my life and realizing like none of that stuff mattered. This human being that I'm able to minister to matters. And I've like, okay, it's gone. Like, am I going to replace it with something? And I like suddenly I needed to be working, or I don't. And I was like, wait, okay, maybe this happened. And I thought, well, his name's John. And I thought, what would John want me to do with my time? And he would say, go pick tomatoes for me, or take my dog for a walk, or, spend time with your family. And like, I just, I don't know, trying to see it positive, not so much positive, but just like bring me life. Like, don't take my life away. Bring me life.
Mm.
So I saw something online today that just happened to flash through my feed, and I'm going to paraphrase it because I don't have it written down exactly. But to paraphrase it, it said, "Our house is filled with things from our previous lives," and it was talking about physical items, but I think it also applies to some of what we're talking about here, our internal life, and Kat, your internal life of what's important to you has changed, and you don't have to hang on to those old things anymore if they're not serving you well. And so I think if you reiterate some of what others have been saying, not only do we not have to hold on to our physical debris from our past lives, but we don't have to hold on to our psyche either.
I think
It sort of comes back to like our identity, I think, Robert. Like, who are we? And who are we now? I think I saw that in one of the comments. Like, who are we now today? And how can we embrace that? And there may be, like, I'm getting a little teary now thinking about it. Like how do we need, or in what ways do we need to sort of grieve who we once were, and embrace who we are now, and all that comes with it. So I just needed to say that out loud before it left my brain.
I think for myself, I tended to find myself based on what I was. And if I can let go what I was and be who I am in the present, that's a more powerful place to live, where I am now in the present, rather than worrying about who I used to be.
Well, and I feel like I would take that one step further and challenge us as people living with Parkinson's, like, letting go of what was, making space for who I am, but like, what can we bring into our life? I don't know what that is. Is it more church?
Like, what's possible?
Yeah, like who could we
What's
be?
possible?
Who do we want to be? And like, I want more spirituality in my life. I want more fun in my life. I want more people in my life, like just inviting friends over for dinner, getting to know new people. Like, this is getting my focus a little less self-centered, because I think it's a really self-centered disease, and I'm not a self-centered person. And so I have become self-centered, and it's like, whoa, away with that. Like, maybe what else? Like, what else am I?
I think it sounds like we're all in different spaces as far as the Parkinson's goes. I think, different positions, different places in life. And for me, maybe I'm a little older, but I'm retired and I'm looking for more rest. I'm looking for more, if the boundary is, what can I do to get more rest and take care of myself more? But everyone's different, and you sort of find your own place. For a long time, I had a volunteer job after I quit work, about going every week, talking to a hospice patient for an hour. And that I did it for about 10 different people over a 7-year period. And the last one just stopped, and I had the choice of whether I should go back and find another patient or not. And the hospice folks were encouraging me to do it. But for the last year, I decided not to do it, just because I wanted more space for myself, more time, and it just didn't seem like the right thing to do. So we all make those decisions based on where we are and what we've done and what we like to do.
And we all evolve and change too. So I'm trying to dial it back in a little bit, to regroup, to kind of find who am I now and what do I want to do now, and do it thoughtfully before I move ahead. And others that maybe are feeling like they're tired of kind of being more focused inward, or trying to go outward. And I think I loved Robert's and Stephanie's words about the evolution and the being present with ourselves and giving ourselves permission to look at next steps and not maybe carry around the old expectations. It was a very good reminder, Robert, and I appreciate that. Really. It was timely for me as well. So
Speaking of reminders, I want to draw attention to something that that Bruce wrote in the chat. Bruce wrote, "All of you who are on this panel seem so healthy and articulate." And I recognize that I used to be that way during the first few years of after my diagnosis, but now I'm further along, and I can't avoid the fact that I need a wheelchair to get around in public. No matter how much I work out in the gym, my health is failing. And I appreciate Bruce bringing that to this conversation. That things change, and that it's not always going to be the same way it is. And I just wonder what we think about that comment overall.
Well, it's part of life. That's whether you have Parkinson's or not, it's part of it. But sort of gets back to our discussion last month between acceptance and resilience. Acceptance and resilience. We're going to continue to have losses. It's going to continue to deteriorate. And that's maybe the reason that we're talking about these boundaries and trying to make our lives more positive is in some ways we realize that we want to take advantage of the time while we have it to do the things we want to do.
And I think there's a bit of a dance between anticipatory grieving, in other words, spending our time trying to plan and think about how we're going to navigate what's coming next, and the unpredictability of this disease and also of life and aging, right? There's all these things happening at once. And I don't know that we're ever totally ready. I mean, I missed a whole day of the WPC because I was in the hospital. I had overdone it, and probably, those are a lot of self-judging words, right? There I am, shame on me. I did the wrong things, but I also was having a great time and feeling good. And I've done this every 3 years for the last 12 years. But suddenly now I'm not able to do that. And that had a huge impact. And I think, I had it. I've beaten myself up enough now about it, and I think I will do things differently in the future because of that episode. But I didn't know what I was going to be like at 11 and a half years in at the WPC in that moment, and so I could choose to completely withdraw from everything and be embarrassed, or I could get up the next day and still go, knowing that there was going to be some attention around it. So I think we're back to that. That's that resilience, or just like anything, we can stub our toe and break our leg or trip over a dog, or, how are we going to deal with those things as they come? We've all made it 100% of the days that we've lived so far. Every single person on this call, whether you're in, on crutches, in a wheelchair, have a splint on your finger, whether you're cramping and can't sit down, we've made it. So how we make it and how we keep showing up, it's harder as we progress, I think. And we got to keep going. And that's why we meet up and talk about this stuff, right? That's why we log on, for a little bit of hope, maybe.
And, for that matter, I actually think that's why I wanted to draw attention to Bruce's comment a little bit, because I think we need to hear from people that are at that sort of all different position than whatever position you're in. I think it's nice to hear from other people who have different experiences, because it informs you of a bigger piece of life. And so I appreciate Bruce's comment for that reason.
I do too.
I'd love to hear more from Bruce on that subject if we could at some point.
I think every day that we live with Parkinson's, we gain an extra day of experience. And I think if we live in the moment with that added experience, it allows us to confront the uncertain future with a bit more certainty. I know that sounds a bit, contradictory, but each day that I gain living with Parkinson's just gives me some more tools in my toolbox to hopefully deal with the future curves that come with it, as well as the natural aging process. It just gives us fortitude, resilience, and experience and knowledge about how to confront the changes. Early on, those changes would throw me into a tailspin, and I'd throw myself into my bed and cover myself with the sheets and wail away for a couple of days. But that's not living, because there are people out there that depend on me. that I engage with, enjoy corresponding with, it gives you the purpose to get out of that bed much sooner. But not every day is golden. We've got to take those good days with the bad days. But I think the experience gets me out the door quicker than it used to in the early years.
It's like a muscle, right? The more we flex that resilient muscle or that resilient practice, I hope, but I can only hope, because this is the only today that I've lived, right? That those experiences will help prepare me for the next thing.
Right.
Well, I don't know. You were just saying flexing a muscle. It's like flexing a muscle. And I'm like, wait a minute, flexibility. Like that just reminded me about flexibility. Like I was going to go to the World Parkinson's Congress, Cat, and I had my heart set on it. I wanted to see all my friends. I was going to share a room with a friend. I was just like super excited because I had missed Barcelona and I had been in Japan, and my husband wanted to go on vacation to Mexico. Poor me. But I was like, he wanted to go on vacation to Mexico with friends. And I'm like, can't we do it another time? I've been planning this for years. I can't wait. And I was just like, wait a minute, I have to make flexibility to let his life and wishes and heart be more important than mine, even if it means I have to give up the World Parkinson's Congress. And you know what I did? I opened space for him and what he wanted to do. And I set a boundary with myself to not go. And I'm sad I missed it. I talked to everybody. I hear stories and I was like, oh, I wasn't there. But, I was somewhere, and I was somewhere great. And, I actually had a lot of fun. And I didn't open my computer one time, which is not like me. I did not check my email. I didn't check my phone. We had coffee together every day. We went swimming in the swimming pool and like walked along the beach. And I was like, I don't give myself permission. It's okay. So I'll hear about the conference from you guys. I'll think about the next one. And I don't know. I'm glad it happened. Oddly enough.
Back to the priorities, right? Are the priorities always about us, or is it about the people we love? Am I happy to kind of drop everything and help plan this wedding? You better believe it. We haven't had a wedding in our family. And so darn it, I'm going to try really hard to be joyful about, even though I'm benching some other things and having to skirt around some other goals. But how we do that becomes as important as doing it, I think. Larry, does that get at what?
Yep.
I think you framed it beautifully. And
I was going to say about this issue about other people in our life. As I was preparing for this topic and thinking about it, I was like, okay, making space for others is actually a boundary, right? I'm not going to be all about me so much. And this disease isn't going to take that much away from them. And I'm going to make space for that. And I'm like, I came across this thing. It said, come stand with me, but let's make room for both of us.
Yeah. I like it.
I love that.
Like that.
Cross stitch that on a pillow, Karen.
I'm going to get a tattoo on my
Get a tattoo. We should all make t-shirts.
I don't have a tattoo.
One of the challenges I think we haven't really talked about is the executive function issues with Parkinson's, where you got to make some choices, and the choices are sometimes hard to make. So I think that's one of the reasons you kind of need other people in your life too, because for me, that helps me a lot to have other people help me think about the things I need to choose between sometimes. And, just another layer to this is that executive function component. I don't think we really touched on that too much.
yeah, I think that has impacted for me my limitations of executive function have impacted how much I can do at one time, and that has narrowed my focus and what I can do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for me,
Repeat that, Kat. I'm sorry. Can you repeat that again?
Just the shift in cognitive function has made it difficult for me to do multiple things at once. So like me saying, I'm going to focus on the wedding. I can't do that while also trying to get through the rest of this nursing thing and on board on a new job.
Yeah.
So that has helped me automatically have to prioritize things. And I think that's
Yeah.
difficult sometimes for our friends and family to understand. And then Stan was going to say something.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say that for me, I definitely noticed a difference in executive functioning where I can't think like I used to. And it's a loss. But on the other hand, I sort of told myself that I don't need to spend time on it as much. I can spend, like my wife likes to try to figure out why she has hip pain. Was it this activity she did, or was it this activity? And trying to analyze all this stuff that for me, it's not going to make a big difference in terms of boundaries and prioritizing things and trying to have less stress. I think just saying, well, I'm not really as interested in solving those kind of problems like I used to be. And I'm not sure it's giving up on them, but it's, in some ways it feels bad, but in most ways it feels good. Like prioritize rest and happiness and less stress.
I'm trying to make room for being less self-critical and less hard on myself. My goodness, like I wouldn't talk to a friend the way I talk to myself about certain things. I make mistakes and I hit bumps in the road and I don't always do the right thing. And
Sounds very human.
I'm human. Yeah.
Even you, Karen.
Even me?
Yeah.
Well, my robot. Yeah, especially me. Let's change that. Especially me.
Yeah. It's a big topic today.
It's a big topic.
Gosh, I feel like it's so serious. Like I thought people would joke around a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe it isn't funny.
Well, it's not a case of whether it's funny or not, but I'm sitting here thinking really hard about the topic because I'm really mulling it over because I think it's great. It's taken us all over the place, but I think I've got an image in my head that my father-in-law is in hospital at the moment. He's 93 years old, and I go visit him in the mornings, and I've been feeding him breakfast, and he's got this huge window that overlooks the highway, and I was staring at it this morning, and I'm realizing, that's life outside the window, but what it is, it's the presence of life outside the window. People, cars going by, buses, people getting on with their lives, and it forces you to be in the moment, and that's what I kind of took away today, and I thought that it resonates with this topic about giving us permission to be who we are in the moment. So that's what I was just thinking about. Just wanted to articulate that somewhat as I'm sitting here listening and taking it all in.
Yeah. I was going to kind of bring that up because I was like, okay, I want to have this closing reflection on kind of where it brought us. I think it's organically, naturally happening. But I was just going to say, we talked about not really saying no necessarily, asking ourselves what deserves more room in our life. And, Parkinson's is part of that story, but it doesn't get to write the whole story. And so we have choices. We can place our energy, our attention, our relationships. We can even insert hope into a space where we don't feel hopeful, even if it's the tiniest of things. And I think if we were to leave this conversation, maybe we'll think on it after we leave the conversation. I hope we will. But if we leave here thinking a little bit differently about something, not just that to me is like a real self-reflection and a victory. So my final reflection to the community, to the panel is, as you leave this conversation, really actionable step. Like, what is one thing that you're going to intentionally make more space for in your life? And what's one tiny step that you can take this week? I would make space. I'm making space to stop working. I mean, stopping my passion projects at 4:00, cook dinner and do something else. Just I'm done. Like, it's okay to say I did enough today. I am enough today, and I've stopped today. So like this week, I'm going to make dinner one night.
That's awesome.
I guess. I don't know.
Sure.
Anybody else?
Baby
What's the
steps.
boundary?
Baby steps. You can
Baby
always
steps.
tell them that. One bite at a time.
Yeah.
Well, I already said that that I want to develop some more friendships outside of Parkinson's, and I really do think that's something that I want to work on. And one positive little step I can do, there's a couple that have asked me for the past several months to let them know when we can all go to dinner together. And I just need to pick up the phone and say, hey, how about next Saturday? Or, whatever. It doesn't matter what I propose. We're going to juggle it and change it, but just start the conversation. Where do you want to go? What night do you want to go on? And I need to do that with more people, because you never know who you're actually going to connect with on a friendship level. So I need to put myself out there in multiple places to see what happens.
I love that.
I almost went, our Gay Enlistment Center does a game night on Tuesday nights. And I've never been, but apparently it's a lot of older gays like me and a lot of younger gays also. And it's a nice mix of people getting to know each other. And I need to go some Tuesday night and check it out.
It's funny you say Tuesday is the night that happened, because I actually had an experience where there's something that we stumbled upon the other night. It was an open mic night, and we went out to go get a bite to eat, and it was an open mic night in this bar we went to. And my partner Bridget was just sitting there, and somebody just said, "Hey, do you guys want to sing?" And she said, "I'll sing a song." And she got up and sang a song. And I thought, well, that's really cool. And it made me remember again, which is something I always forget, and then I'm always shocked that I forgot it, that making music and being a part of a community of people engaged in music is such an important part of my whole life. It has been. Sometimes it slips away given all the other things that are going on. And so I've been meaning to pick up the guitar more, and
That's awesome.
just, even if I can't play it the way I used to, just mess around a little bit. And it's nice to have that remembrance, or not remembrance. It's nice to have that thing remind me of that part of my life. So
Yeah, I was going to say that from now on, I'm going to return to music, because that's my comfort zone. I've really missed playing the drums and the bongos, and so that's what I'm going to give myself space for.
I love that, Larry.
I was talking with some gals. So every Wednesday morning, 4 women who went through a mindfulness-based stress reduction program. We've been getting together every Wednesday since we completed the class to do some support and mindfulness practices. And we were talking yesterday about our neighborhoods and community, and like, do we know our neighbors? And some of us know some of our neighbors, others not at all. But I just moved to a new neighborhood, and so the thought came up again, I just need to make the invite and have some people over and get to know some of the people that I'm living in community with. That is really important to me. And so I'm going to make a commitment to do that and have some people over after all the smoke clears out of Wisconsin from the wildfires. It's terribly smoky, hazy here right now. So maybe when we circle back next month, I'll have a little report out on what I'm going to call Pizza and Wine Night on Crescendo Drive. That's what it's going to be.
Ooh, that sounds like a movie.
I love it. I want to double dip. I just thought of what I'm going to do. I'm going to call my great niece, who's 2.5 years old, and I got her a hobby horse, like one of those stickless hobby horses. And she likes to hop around on the hobby horse. And it's so funny. She learned how to gallop. So I'm going to call her this week and ask her to do her hobby horse.
That's great.
On
FaceTime opportunity.
Yeah. There's a sport, hobby horsing.
Yeah.
Ari, you made me think of music, and I was telling Chris before about it. He had a podcast today with a guy on the harmonica. I've been interested in doing more with music. think either the harmonica or drums or something would be great.
We should form a band. There's
Yeah.
want to do music.
The Living with Parkinson's Meetup's next evolution is we become a traveling band. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of that podcast, it's maybe worth a listen to in particular related to this topic, because the whole point of the project that I spoke with Kevin Lockett about is to distribute a program sort of so that anyone anywhere can start this sort of class structure of teaching people to play the harmonica. So you can go to maybe Ariel, if you can put that link in the chat, people can see it there. And if you're interested in music, that may be a thing that you might want to explore for your local community. You can it's all free. You can get a copy of the program from the links that are in the description of the video where you can watch this episode, and you can just pick that up and lead a class. It's got all you need to do it. So,
Love that.
check it out.
Okay.
And then we can we'll have a harmonica orchestra.
And bring your hobby horses next month
That's right.
Harmonicas and hobby horses.
I'll be on the tambourine.
while playing the harmonica.
And you can't get enough cowbells. Don't forget about the
Amen.
cowbells.
Oh yeah, more
More
cowbell.
cowbell.
That's right.
All right. On that note, we'll have to wait for the next.
Prescription for more cowbell.
That's
See what I
even
did there?
better.
See what I did there?
Yeah.
Everybody. That's our homework. Everybody go to your movement disorder specialist and say, "I need a prescription for cowbell."
Cowbell.
That's right. I got a fever.
Well, we'll everybody bring your cowbells and your harmonicas and your bongos to next meetup, and we'll look forward to seeing everyone.
And what a noise it'll be.
Have a good month, everybody. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.